Every morning, before the world speaks to you, your mind is already listening. It is waiting to be instructed, not by noise, not by fear, but by you. This moment, right here between waking and becoming, is where lives quietly change. Because the mind you carry into the morning becomes the voice that guides your choices, shapes your courage, and decides whether you move through the day surviving or standing tall. If you do not build your mind early, the day will build it for you, and it will not be gentle. Morning is not just a time on the clock. It is a quiet beginning where your inner world takes its first breath. Before the noise arrives, before opinions rush in, before responsibilities knock on your door, your mind is open and impressionable. This is the birthplace of your mindset. What you allow to enter here will walk with you for the rest of the day. If you rise without intention, the day will decide your mood for you. But when you rise with awareness, you become the author, not the audience. In the early hours, your mind is soft, honest, and listening closely. It remembers yesterday's struggles and whispers tomorrow's worries, but it also waits for guidance. This is your chance to choose hope over hesitation, courage over comfort. A single thought planted in the morning can grow into confidence by afternoon. Likewise, a careless thought can become a shadow that follows you everywhere. The morning does not demand perfection. It asks for presence. It asks you to show up for yourself before you show up for the world. Life will test you, not because you are weak, but because you are growing. The challenges you face later in the day are rarely new. What changes is how prepared your mind is to meet them. When your mindset is built early, pressure feels lighter and setbacks feel temporary. You stop reacting and start responding. You remember who you are even when circumstances try to make you forget. Strength is not loud in the morning. It is calm, steady, and intentional. There will be mornings when doubt feels heavier than belief, when tiredness tries to speak louder than purpose. On those days, building your mind matters even more. You do not need long speeches or perfect routines. Sometimes it is enough to sit in stillness and remind yourself that you are allowed to grow slowly. You are allowed to begin again. Each morning gives you permission to release yesterday without guilt and step forward without fear. When you honor your mornings, you teach your mind consistency. You teach it that progress is not accidental, it is practiced. Over time, this practice becomes your anchor. The world may rush, criticize, or overlook you, but your mind remains rooted. You begin to trust yourself. You begin to move with clarity instead of chaos. The day no longer controls you. You carry your own control within. So let the morning be sacred. Protect it from negativity, from unnecessary comparison, from voices that weaken your spirit. Feed your mind with thoughts that strengthen it, because what you build at dawn becomes your armor by dusk. And when you walk into the world with a mind shaped by intention, you do not just face the day, you meet it with quiet power and unshakable grace. Every thought you allow into your mind is a seed, small and almost invisible at first, yet powerful enough to shape the landscape of your life. In the morning, your mental soil is fresh. It has not yet been trampled by stress, watered by fear, or crowded by other people's expectations. What you plant in this moment matters. A seed of belief may feel insignificant, but given time and attention, it grows into resilience. A seed of doubt, left unchecked, can quietly take over every open space. The mind does not judge the seeds you give it. It does not ask whether they are kind or cruel, hopeful or heavy. It simply grows what it is fed. When you begin your morning with worry, you are planting weeds that compete with your peace all day long. When you begin with gratitude, intention, or clarity, you are planting roots that hold you steady when the wind of the day begins to blow. This is not about forcing positivity, it is about choosing awareness. Many people underestimate the power of small, repeated thoughts. They wait for a dramatic change, a loud breakthrough, or a perfect moment, but transformation rarely announces itself. It arrives quietly through daily mental habits. One encouraging thought repeated every morning becomes self-trust. One moment of self-respect practiced daily becomes confidence. The mind learns from repetition, not promises. What you consistently think becomes what you eventually believe. There will be days when negative seeds arrive uninvited. You cannot always control what enters your mind, but you can choose what you nurture. Not every thought deserves your attention. Some thoughts are simply passing clouds, not truths. When you recognize this, you reclaim your power. You stop arguing with every doubt and start focusing on what aligns with the person you are becoming. This choice, made again and again, changes everything. Planting wisely also means patience. Seeds do not bloom overnight, and neither does growth. There will be mornings when you do everything right and still feel uncertain. That does not mean nothing is happening beneath the surface. Growth often takes place in silence. Trust the process. Trust that what you are feeding your mind today is shaping your strength for tomorrow, even if you cannot yet see the results. As you move through your day, you will notice the harvest of your morning thoughts. You will respond with calm instead of panic. You will pause instead of react. You will speak to yourself with more compassion. This is how inner change becomes visible. It begins quietly with a single seed planted in intention, and it spreads through your actions, your choices, and your presence. So return to your mornings with care. Choose your thoughts as you would choose your words with someone you love, because the mind listens closely and it remembers. What you plant today becomes the ground you stand on tomorrow. Discipline is not born in loud moments or public victories. It is shaped quietly long before anyone is watching. It begins in the hours when the world is still asleep, when excuses are easy and comfort feels convincing. In those moments, no one is applauding you, no one is measuring your effort, and no one is asking you to show up. Yet this is where real strength is formed. What you choose to do when the world is silent reveals who you are becoming. When you wake before the noise, you meet yourself honestly. There's no rush to impress, no pressure to perform. There is only choice. Discipline is choosing to rise even when rest whispers your name. It is choosing intention over impulse, purpose over postponement. These early decisions may seem small, but they stack quietly, building a foundation that holds you steady when the day grows heavy. The world will eventually wake up and demand your attention. It will test your patience, interrupt your plans, and pull at your focus from every direction. But when discipline has already been practiced in the quiet, those demands lose their power. You are no longer easily shaken because your mind has already been trained. You have already decided who you are before the day tries to decide for you. Discipline is not punishment, it is protection. It protects your time, your energy, and your direction. When practiced early, it becomes a form of self-trust. You begin to believe in your ability to follow through, to keep promises made to yourself. This belief changes how you walk through the world. You stop waiting for motivation and start relying on consistency. You understand that feelings change, but commitment holds. There will be mornings when discipline feels heavy, when progress feels invisible. On those mornings, remind yourself that growth does not need an audience. Roots grow in darkness before anything reaches the light. What you do before the world wakes up may never be seen, but it will always be felt. It will show in how you handle pressure, how you speak to yourself, and how you continue when things become difficult. As discipline becomes part of your mornings, it begins to shape your identity. You are no longer someone who hopes to be strong. You are someone who practices strength daily. You move with quiet confidence, not because life is easy, but because you are prepared. The habits formed in silence become your anchor in chaos. So honor those early moments. Treat them as sacred ground where excuses have no voice and intention leads. Discipline does not shout, it whispers again and again, asking you to choose growth over comfort. And when you listen to that whisper before the world wakes up, you step into the day already ahead, carrying a calm power that no noise can take away. What you feed your mind in the morning quietly decides the direction of your entire day. The mind is always consuming something, even when you are not aware of it. It absorbs words, images, memories, and emotions long before you consciously react. If the first thing you give it is chaos, it will echo chaos back to you. If the first thing you give it is intention, it will guide you with clarity. The quality of your thoughts becomes the quality of your moments. Many people begin their day feeding their minds with urgency, comparison, and worry. They rush into noise and wonder why they feel unsettled before the day has truly begun. A mind that is fed stress early will search for stress everywhere. It will turn small delays into frustration and minor challenges into heavy burdens, not because life suddenly became harder, but because the mind was trained to see the world through tension. When you choose to feed your mind with calm, it responds differently. Calm does not mean the absence of problems, it means the presence of control. A calm-fed mind pauses before reacting. It listens before speaking. It chooses understanding over anger and patience over panic. This choice, made early, ripples through every interaction you have. Your tone softens, your focus sharpens, your energy steadies. The mind also feeds on the way you speak to yourself. If the first voice it hears is critical, it will carry that judgment into everything you do. You will question your abilities, doubt your decisions, and shrink your potential before the world ever challenges you. But when the first voice is kind, encouraging, and honest, the mind stands taller. It remembers its worth even when mistakes appear. It moves forward without constantly looking back. Feeding your mind well does not require perfection or endless positivity. It requires honesty and care. It means acknowledging your fears without letting them lead. It means recognizing your limits without defining yourself by them. When you offer your mind truth instead of pressure, it becomes a place of strength rather than struggle. You begin to live your day from a place of balance instead of survival. As the day unfolds, you will notice how your mental diet shapes your responses. A nourished mind does not rush to defend itself. It does not crumble at criticism or inflate with praise. It remains steady, rooted in self-awareness. This steadiness allows you to make better choices, to listen more deeply, and to act with purpose rather than impulse. Over time, feeding your mind intentionally becomes a habit, not an effort. You begin to recognize what strengthens you and what drains you. You learn to protect your mental space the way you protect your physical well-being. The day no longer feels like something that happens to you. It becomes something you actively shape. So choose carefully what you give your mind, especially at the beginning, because the thoughts you consume become the lens through which you see everything else. And when your mind is fed with intention, respect, and calm, your day follows that lead, unfolding with clarity, strength, and quiet confidence. Silence in the morning is not emptiness. It is a powerful space where your inner voice can finally be heard. When the world is quiet, there is no competition for your attention, no pressure to respond, no demand to explain yourself. In that stillness, your mind settles and your spirit straightens. Silence allows you to meet yourself without distraction, and that meeting builds strength that noise can never provide. In silence, you notice what constant sound tries to hide. You become aware of your breathing, your thoughts, and the emotions you have been carrying without realizing it. This awareness is not weakness, it is clarity. When you allow yourself a few quiet moments, you stop running from your own mind and start understanding it. Strength grows when you no longer fear being alone with your thoughts. Many people avoid silence because it feels uncomfortable at first. It brings unfinished feelings to the surface and reminds you of questions you have been postponing. But avoiding silence does not erase those feelings. It only delays healing. When you sit with quiet in the morning, you give yourself permission to process rather than suppress. That courage, practiced daily, becomes emotional resilience. Silence also teaches patience. In a world that rewards speed and reaction, stillness feels unfamiliar. Yet patience is the backbone of inner strength. When you learn to sit without rushing, your mind learns not to panic. You become less reactive, less defensive, and more thoughtful. This calm presence follows you into conversations, decisions, and challenges throughout the day. Within silence, your intuition speaks more clearly. It is soft, not demanding, and easily drowned out by noise. Morning quiet gives that inner guidance room to surface. You begin to sense what aligns with you and what does not. You recognize when something feels right without needing external approval. Trusting this inner signal strengthens your confidence from the inside out. Silence also restores your energy. Before the world starts pulling from you, quiet moments allow you to refill. Your mind rests, your nervous system calms, and your focus sharpens. This restoration is not laziness, it is preparation. A mind that begins the day rested in silence carries more endurance and grace into busy hours. As you practice morning silence, you will notice subtle changes. You will listen more deeply instead of rushing to respond. You will feel less overwhelmed by small disturbances. You will move with intention rather than urgency. This is inner strength in action, not loud or dramatic, but steady and reliable. Silence does not isolate you, it grounds you. It reminds you that before you are needed by the world, you belong to yourself. When you honor that truth each morning, you carry a quiet confidence that does not seek validation. You become rooted, unshaken by noise, and secure in your presence. So protect those silent moments. Let them shape your mornings and steady your spirit. Because when strength is built in quiet, it does not crumble in chaos. It stands firm, calm, and unmovable, guiding you through the day with grace and self-trust. When morning arrives, it does not carry yesterday on its shoulders unless you invite it to. The sun does not rise burdened by your mistakes, and the air does not remember where you fell. Yet so often, the first thing we reach for is the past. We replay old conversations, old failures, old versions of ourselves that no longer exist. But the truth is simple and freeing. Your past does not wake up with you. Choice does. Choice is the quiet companion that greets you every morning. It stands there patiently, asking nothing, demanding nothing, simply waiting to be acknowledged. You can choose to relive what hurt you, or you can choose to learn from it and move forward. You can choose to let regret guide your mood, or you can choose to let wisdom guide your steps. The past may explain you, but it does not have the right to command you. Many people believe they are trapped by what has already happened. They think yesterday has written today in permanent ink, but every morning arrives with a clean page, even if your hands are still shaking from the night before. Choice gives you the power to write a new sentence, even if the story before it was painful. Growth does not require forgetting the past. It requires refusing to live inside it. There will be mornings when memories feel louder than intention. On those days, choice becomes an act of courage, choosing to rise anyway, choosing to speak kindly to yourself despite old scars, choosing to try again even when confidence feels thin. These choices may feel small, but they are not weak. They are evidence that you are no longer controlled by what once defined you. The past often returns disguised as fear. Fear of repeating mistakes, fear of being judged, fear of failing again. But fear only has power when it goes unquestioned. Choice allows you to pause and remind yourself that you are not the same person who lived those moments. You have learned, you have endured, you have changed. Each morning is proof that you are still here, still capable, still becoming. Choosing differently does not mean the day will be easy. It means you will meet difficulty with awareness instead of habit. You will notice when old patterns try to resurface, and instead of falling into them, you will stand still and decide again. This pause, this moment of awareness, is where freedom lives. Not in perfection, but in conscious choice. As you practice choosing yourself in the morning, something shifts quietly within you. The past loses its grip. Its voice grows softer, less convincing. You stop introducing yourself by what went wrong and start recognizing yourself by what you are building. Your identity becomes rooted in intention rather than memory. So when you wake up, remind yourself gently but firmly, yesterday has already lived its life. Today is asking you a different question, not who you were, but who you choose to be now. And when you honor that choice each morning, you step forward lighter, clearer, and stronger, carrying wisdom, not weight, into the day ahead. Pain is something every human knows, yet not every human knows how to use. It arrives uninvited, settles deep, and leaves marks that are not always visible. In the morning, pain often speaks first, reminding you of what hurt, what failed, and what still aches. An untrained mind believes pain is a stop sign. A trained mind understands it as a signal, not to quit, but to grow stronger. A trained mind does not deny pain or pretend it never existed. It listens without surrendering. It studies the pain instead of becoming it. When pain shows up, the trained mind asks different questions. Not why me, but what is this teaching me? Not how do I escape, but how do I rise? This shift does not erase the hurt, but it transforms its meaning. Pain stops being a wound and becomes a lesson. Every struggle you have survived has already proven something powerful about you. You are stronger than the moment that tried to break you. Yet without training the mind, pain can turn inward, becoming bitterness, fear, or self-doubt. When the mind is trained, pain moves outward, turning into wisdom, empathy, and resilience. The same experience that once weakened you becomes the source of your strength. Training the mind to turn pain into power takes patience. It happens in the quiet moments when you choose reflection over reaction. When you wake up and instead of replaying the hurt, you remind yourself that you are still standing. Each morning you do this, the pain loses a little of its control. It no longer defines you. It informs you. You carry it with awareness, not with weight. Pain also sharpens purpose when the mind is ready. You begin to notice that your struggles have shaped your values. What once wounded you now guides how you treat others. What once silenced you now gives your voice depth. This is how pain becomes power, not by disappearing, but by being redirected. It fuels determination, compassion, and clarity. There will be days when pain feels fresh again, when it returns without warning. A trained mind does not panic at its return. It remembers the progress already made. It understands that healing is not linear, and strength is not the absence of pain, but the ability to move forward with it. This understanding creates stability. You stop fearing your own emotions and start trusting your ability to handle them. Over time, something remarkable happens. Situations that once would have broken you now meet a calmer, wiser version of yourself. You respond instead of react. You stand instead of collapse. Others may not see the battles you have fought internally, but they will feel your presence. There is a quiet confidence that comes from knowing you have faced pain and transformed it. So each morning, train your mind gently but consistently. Do not rush the process. Let pain remind you of how far you have come, not how far you fell. When the mind is trained, pain becomes a tool, not a threat. And with each new day, you carry less fear and more power, walking forward not as someone who was hurt, but as someone who was strengthened. Every morning arrives carrying a quiet promise, whether you notice it or not. It does not ask what you did wrong yesterday or how many times you fell short. It simply shows up, open and undecided, offering you another opportunity to begin with awareness. This is the gift hidden in routine. No matter how ordinary the day may seem, the morning itself is always new. A second chance does not mean everything is erased. It means you are given space to respond differently. You may wake up with the weight of unfinished goals or lingering disappointment, but intention gives you direction instead of pressure. Intention is not about controlling the entire day, it is about choosing how you step into it. One clear intention can steady you more than a dozen rushed plans. When you begin the morning with intention, you shift from reacting to leading. Instead of letting circumstances decide your mood, you decide your approach. You may not control what happens, but you can control how you meet it. This choice, made early, shapes your energy. You move with purpose instead of urgency, with awareness instead of habit. Many people misunderstand second chances, believing they must come with dramatic change. But real renewal is often subtle. It is choosing patience instead of frustration. It is choosing effort instead of avoidance. It is choosing to try again without carrying yesterday's judgment. These choices may feel small, yet they are powerful because they are repeated. Intention grows stronger through consistency, not perfection. There will be mornings when intention feels difficult to find, when motivation is low and doubt feels familiar. On those mornings, intention can be simple. It can be choosing to breathe deeply before responding, choosing to be kind to yourself instead of critical, choosing progress over pause. A second chance does not demand greatness. It invites honesty and effort. As you practice meeting each morning with intention, you begin to trust yourself more deeply. You learn that you do not need to wait for the right mood or perfect conditions. You learn that showing up with awareness is enough. This trust builds resilience. When setbacks appear, you recover faster because you know another morning will come, and with it, another opportunity to choose again. Intention also brings clarity. It reminds you what matters and what can be released. Not every thought deserves attention. Not every demand deserves urgency. When you set an intention early, it becomes a filter for your day. You begin to recognize distractions more quickly and return to what aligns with you more easily. Over time, these intentional mornings begin to change how you see yourself. You stop defining yourself by past mistakes and start recognizing yourself by present effort. You understand that growth is not a single decision, but a series of small choices made again and again. Each morning becomes a quiet affirmation that you are still learning, still capable, still moving forward. So when you wake up, remember this gently. Today is not asking you to be flawless. It is offering you a second chance to be intentional, to step forward with awareness, to meet the day with clarity and calm. And when you accept that offer, morning after morning, you build a life shaped not by yesterday, but by the choices you make now.